Previous video we saw how we create deployments using the imperative commands, but the preference should be of using declarative manifest for applying or creating deployments. This means maintaining the state of your deployments in YAML or JSON files. In this video we will see how you can create deployments using YAML files. So let's get started. So get the deployments and save it into a YAML file. Use the kubectl get deployments nginx, and I am outputting into YAML and I am giving it a name, nginx deployment.yaml. So now after this, see it using the ls command. You see there's nginx deployment.yaml created. So now let's save an annotation to this file using the kubectl replace -f nginx, the name of my file deployment.yaml, and save config. So you might be wondering, why did I use the kubectl replace -save -config? So this adds an annotation so that whenever you apply changes to the deployments in the future, thus kubectl will know when the last applied configuration was. So I'll show you the thing which kubectl. I'll show you why did I use this thing. So let me hit enter. So deployment was created. So now let's look at the file, that is nginx deployment.yaml. As you see here, there was an annotation of deployment.kubernetes.io revision 1. So this adds like a time, this what do you call, a mark to the deployment that this deployment was created of revision 1, and when you make changes to deployment some time later, similar annotation like thing will be added to deployments for further logging or debugging. You can then see the app label name nginx and all. So now what we do is, also there is one important spec in the deployment which is very similar structure to the replica set spec. That is, in the spec section of the deployment there is a pod template. In the pod template, which contains the number of containers that are created for each replicas managed by the deployment. And in addition to the pod specification, you see a strategy section that has two important fields, that is max search and max unavailable, which is a very important fields which will be used in the rolling updates. So the two important strategies that are used in the deployments are recreate and rolling update. So one second. Okay, so the two important strategies of deployments are one, recreate, and the second one is rolling update, and we are going to discuss both of them in detail. So if you ask me what is a recreate, so recreate strategy is the simplest one of the two. That is, let's say you have a two pods of version 1, and let's say you want to update your app to version 2. And so what you do is, in the recreate strategy, you make the two pods of v1, that is, you scale down the pods, so you will have 0 pods of v1 and you will be left over with 0 pods, and this creates an issue of downtime. Since there is no pods running of your app, so there will arise a downtime issue. And after this, you create two pods of version v2. So in this way you create two pods of version 2. This then has its own issue, that is downtime, but this is the fastest way of updating your app and rolling out. And the second strategy is the rolling update, which is similar to the recreate strategy, but it does not terminate all the previous pods. That is, it only that is, it removes it in small amount. Let's say you have 4 pods of version 1, and what rolling update does is, it scales down the version 1 pods into 2, or that is, there's a field in this strategy section, that is, you see in the strategy section there is a rolling update that has two fields, that is maximum surge and maximum unavailable. When the maximum unavailable, that is the maximum unavailable, it can be in the form of percentage or it can be absolute value, that is 2. So for me, let's in this example take, I set it to 50%, that is maximum unavailable is 50%. So the 50% of 4 is 2, so only 2 pods will be terminated and 2 pods of v1 will be running. And in the meantime I create 2 pods of version 2. So in this way there is no issue of the downtime, since there is a 2 pods of v1 already running. And after then you delete the v1 pods, that is the next 2 remaining pods, and you increase the pods of v2 version 2. So in this way, in each step you reduce the previous version by 50%, or you can give it using an absolute value, that is 2. So in this way, in each step you reduce the number of pods, so that you don't have to make your apps arise the downtime issue, so that customers don't have to face the issue of downtime. That is not in the case of recreate, where all the pods are scaled down and then a new version is created. Okay, so what we'll do now is, first let's kubectl describe the deployments. Deploy Deployments nginx. Okay, sorry. So you see that it has a lot of important details put out. So the one of the two most important pieces of information in this output is the old replica sets that is set to none, and the new replica set which is currently 2. So these fields point to the replica set objects. So this deployment is currently managing, and it's managing only 2 sets currently, and the number of old replicas is none because you haven't updated your current deployments. If you update your deployments, then the old replica set will be set to some number, and let's say you're in the thing, the number of pods were 4 and you changed it from version 1 to version 2. So in this process there are 2 pods of v1 first created and 2 pods of v2. So in the old replica set you will have 2 pods, whereas in the new replica set you will have 2 pods in this step, and after this step there will be 0 pods of version 1 and 4 pods of version 2. So after that the old replica set will be set to none and new replica set will be set to 4. So this gives you the deployments description of nginx. And now what we'll do is we'll update the deployments YAML and change the specification. Although we previously showed like how to scale up the deployments using the imperative command using replicas too, but in this we will change the YAML of the deployment, that is nginx deployment, and scale it using YAML file manifest. So now let me change this replicas from 2 to 3 and save it. I saved it. And to scale up the deployment, first we edit the YAML file and now we apply these changes. And also one more thing to note is one sec. So let me go to that nginx deployment file. Okay, it's set to 3. When we save it. Okay, now let me apply the kubectl apply command and apply that patch of deployment -f, that is the file, and nginx deployment .yaml. So my deployment is created. Now if you see kubectl get deployments, you will see 3 deployment pods running, that is 3 since we changed it in the YAML file. So this is a way of scaling a deployment through the what do you call declarative way through YAML files. And this is usually preferred than the imperative method because you can see the changes directly in the YAML file when people are working which can notice in the YAML file. So now what we do is, we'll do one thing, we'll update a container image. So the common use of deployment is a rollout strategy, is what I discussed here, right? Is recreate and rolling out. So to do this, what we'll do is we'll edit the deployment YAML file. In this case, we are updating the container image. So what we'll do is we'll update the container image from 1.7.12 to 1.9.10, let's say, and let me save this. Okay, now we'll use the kubectl apply nginx .yaml file to apply this configuration. Okay, now it says it's configured. Now after you use this, the deployment will update, it will trigger a rollout, which you can see using the kubectl rollout command, rollout status, and the deployments nginx. Okay, sorry for the naming. Deployments. Okay, it's saying you that it's waiting for deployment nginx rollout to finish, and it says only one out of the 3 replicas have been updated. That is, only one image version is updated and remaining 2 are updating. So you can see the old and new replicas managed by the deployment along with the images being used. Both the old and new replicas are kept around in the same case if you want to roll back again to the previous version. Let's wait for this to get rolled out. Okay, 2 got updated. One old replicas are pending for termination. So you see that one, okay, it has been successfully rolled out. Now if I type this again, you see that deployment nginx has successfully been rolled out. And if you type kubectl get replica sets override, you will see that the previous replica set had the version of the previous nginx is now desired number of pods is set to 0, and so the current is 0. So we updated from nginx version 1.7.12 to 1.9.12, which has now desired pods of 3, and the current running pods is 3. So this is how the rollout is an important feature of deployments to update your application. And if you are in the middle of a rollout, you can temporarily pause your that's rollout using the kubectl rollout pause deployments. So this is the demo of rollouts, and if you wanna like go back to the previous version, or if you wanna, let's say, kubectl see the history, you can see it using the kubectl rollout history command and deployment nginx. Okay, so you see there's a revision, there are 2 revisions, and the first revision was the nginx 1.7.12, and the second rollout was the Nginx 1.9.10. mm, and one more important thing is, if you want to roll out to the previous version, that is the revision 1, you can go back to the previous version using the kubectl rollout history, not the history, sorry, rollout undo. You can go back using the undo flag, and deployments nginx. So what this will do is, it will go back to the previous version. So it says the deployments rollback, and now if you see the kubectl get replicas -o wide, you see that it's being rolled out. So it's showing you 1 in the new one, and 3 in the new design, and 2. Let me use it again. So now you see that the new version of the nginx has 0 desired and 0 current pods, while the old version has been undoed and has 3 pods running. So this is how you switch to a new version, that is update to a new version and roll out back to the older versions. And yes,